everyone. Welcome back to another solo show of the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. Excited to be with you today to talk about a topic that I think is really important. It recently came up in the CPC mentorship group, and it was a conversation that I think a lot of the coaches on that call found really helpful. And I wanted to bring it to more than just the 12 coaches inside that group. I feel like it was something that a lot of coaches, whether you're new or more seasoned, could benefit from. And I wanted to kind of build somewhere where it could live permanently. So I'm going to do a solo show on it. And it is the topic of why holding firm boundaries will actually build client confidence and success rather than build resistance. Okay, I'm going to give you a little backstory. We were talking about specific case studies, and one of the coaches brought up a case of a client of hers who had run a minerals and metals test. He was on a slew of pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical intervention for mood, things for pain, weight loss, lots of medications that seemed like they were Band-Aid approaches. One of the coaches that was on the call brought to question, which I thought was great, was how did this client find you? Why was this client, who seemed like he was eating late at night, he was binging, watching TV late at night, not sleeping, taking a lot of medication, what made him seek out a health practitioner, a health coach, rather than continuing to kind of use some of these, pharmaceutical aids? What kind of clicked in his mindset? And the coach who was, working with this client reported that he was in her networking group and he knew he needed to make a change. And so he reached out to her for some support. She shared with us that he paid in full for her services for 3 months, and it took him until the third payment, so 3 full months, to even fill out his paperwork. So he pays in full, 3 full months, and it's not until the third month that he actually fills out the paperwork for her to help him, an intake, for her to help start to do labs or, work on some of his lifestyle adjustments. And what we were discussing was this was a lot of dysfunction. This client was participating in a lot of health dysfunction, again, using a lot of pharmaceutical Band-Aids. And how was this coach going to kind of help to not only, navigate maybe symptoms or, fallouts of the medication, things that he was experiencing from maybe medication, but also how was she going to help shift what seemed like a long lifestyle of dysfunction? And what we started talking about was how important boundaries were going to be with this client. Okay. And I think when people hear the word boundaries, specifically in a coaching container, they can think like harsh. They can think, this client maybe won't perceive that I care about them. But the truth is boundaries aren't harsh. They're supportive. That's going to be our first talking point. I'm going to give you 7 reasons why this is really important, especially with a client who seems like they're going to do a lot of excuse making. They may not take action. It's going to be a slow process. And if they have made a lot of lifestyle choices to get to this point, how are you going to help them to move through a lot of significant change? Okay, this client needed foundations to begin with, but I'm going to talk about 7 reasons why boundaries are going to be really important for this client. The first is going to be that boundaries are not harsh. They are supportive. Coaches can sometimes fear that these boundaries are going to come across as harsh or too rigid. But the truth is that boundaries, they're a form of structure and safety. Think about parenting. My parenting approach is my kids need to know that I'm in charge. If they think they're running the show, first of all, they don't need me. And second of all, it's really destabilizing when someone is left to their own devices to do something that they're not familiar with, right? My kids don't know everything that they're supposed to know about manners and things that are safe and not safe. That's my job, to hold firm boundaries, to keep them safe, to keep them accountable, to keep them kind of moving forward in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. This is true for clients that aren't familiar with health and wellness. They need you to create the safety and structure around what is going to work and what is not. Okay, so the first point is boundaries are not harsh. They are supportive to a client that wants to make change. The second is confidence grows from commitment. If you ask clients for a strong commitment, their follow through, is going to build confidence. That's where we build self-trust. You are not telling a client what to do because you're an authoritative, demanding figure. You're telling a client what to do and creating this role that creates them to show up in this container. This might be the first time that someone has ever given them the space or the ability to grow their own confidence, right? Keeping your standards high shows them that you believe in their capacity to change. So many adults are walking around with childhood wounds of, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, right? If we go back to a child analogy, if I don't ask my kids to commit to certain things that help our family grow, right? Like, okay, you need to commit to making your bed every morning. That creates confidence that I believe in their ability to contribute to our household. I believe in their ability to do anything, right? So if you ask for their commitment and you ask for a strong commitment, you are actually helping them to build their confidence in their follow through, which builds self-trust, which a lot of time clients who are in a pattern of dysfunction have very low self-trust in themselves. They are sabotaging their health. They're sabotaging their life, their relationships, their vitality, because they don't believe in their ability to do anything different. Okay, so number 2 is confidence grows with commitment. Number 3 is clarity and boundaries eliminate confusion. Okay. I've heard before from one of my favorite kind of, childhood psychologist type of motivators that, like, think about if you're on a plane and the pilot, you're hitting turbulence, the pilot comes on the air and he's like, ooh, we're hitting turbulence, not really sure how this is going to go. I'm going to try my best. We might ask one of the flight attendants to help, right? You're going to be like, oh my gosh, this pilot does not know what they're doing. This pilot is not really clear on his ability to solve this problem, and now I'm scared. If you are the pilot of this client's transformation, you're going to say, no, here are the clear expectations and the clarity of what I know to be true. I know that if you don't watch TV late at night and you stop any kind of binging behavior, that your blood sugar is going to regulate and you will wake up feeling more rested and wanting to participate in some sort of movement expectation, right? That I set for you. Wishy-washy expectations, they create decision fatigue. They create less of the confidence in the process in general, right? You want to be a sturdy leader. You want to be a sturdy pilot. Here's what we're going to do to solve this problem. These are the things that I know to be true to actually fix these problems. This is what's worked in my practice. This is what's worked for my clients before. You are taking out the confusion and replacing it with clarity. If they didn't need clarity, they wouldn't be asking for your help as a coach. They wouldn't be paying you to separate the confusion from clarity. So being clear about what's non-negotiable helps the client to stop self-guessing, to stop looking for all these sources on, social media or on the internet, and they're able to kind of get laser focused on the clarity of the next steps and take away their confusion. Confusion only prevents action, right? When we're confused, it's harder to take action. When we have clarity, we have confidence, and we're able to take the next actionable step. Okay. Number 4, boundaries communicate professionalism. A coaching container can feel like friendship and it can feel supportive, but it has to be a transformational relationship. It has to be that you are the expert, they are the client. You are going to teach them the things that work and help them work through a lot of the decisions that they've been making that have been self-destructive so far. Clear boundaries signal that this is a serious professional investment. It's a serious financial investment. And you get their buy-in for them to then take action. If it's not a professional environment, they'll do maybe what a friend would do, right? Maybe a non-paying client, like, oh, I'll listen to your advice over dinner, but like, thanks for everything that you shared. I'm going to kind of still do what I think I want to do. I think we've probably all had those experiences where a friend might ask us for advice. You give them the advice and they just keep doing what they've been doing. But when you enter in this client-patient relationship, client and coach relationship, the client actually respects you more, right? And they feel held accountable. So many clients know what to do. They know they shouldn't be binging at night. They know they should be shutting the TV off. They know they should be getting better sleep. They know they should be caring more for themselves. Why aren't they doing it? Maybe because they don't have someone to hold them accountable. And in order to hold a client accountable, you need to communicate those professional boundaries so that they understand the expectation. It also alleviates your need to kind of become for this to kind of become codependent and for you to now have to pour into them emotionally, right? You're going to guide them through all the steps that they need to take for better self-love, better self-worth, help them identify limiting beliefs. But without professionalism, it can feel like they're now relying on you as a friend, and that will burn you out. And it's not what's best for the client. The client needs to know that it is a professional relationship where you are holding them to a standard that, again, maybe no one else ever has. And by saying, I'm going to hold you to this expectation that I actually believe you are worthy and capable of, is so powerful. That alone can spark something in a client that has never been sparked before, especially clients who are participating in self-sabotaging behavior. Okay, number 5, boundaries are empowering, not enabling. So if you are setting boundaries, you're not enabling them to continue to do the things that they've done because you don't want to maybe offend them or ask hard questions. Your boundaries end up empowering them, okay, to take action. Okay, without boundaries, you risk enabling them to stay stuck in their old patterns. You enable them to perhaps continue to maybe lie to themselves and to you. Boundaries will create tension, and that tension can drive growth because you're encouraging them to maybe get uncomfortable with some truths that maybe they've never questioned before, or they maybe never have challenged, or no one else has challenged or questioned. And we know that patterns in our own thought process, in our own behavior, is what keeps us stuck. People that are getting good health outcomes are participating in behaviors that drive good health outcomes. They're not self-sabotaging. They're not doing things that aren't creating effective health change. And it's loving and ethical to say to a client, like, this is the standard I'm holding you to. Like, are you in? Are you in? Are you in a place where you want to do this? Change is hard, but it is so worth it if you commit to yourself and the process that I know to work. Sometimes with clients who take a long time to take action, they need this. They need you to say, it seems like you're not all in here. I don't want to keep asking you for financial investment. I don't want to keep asking you to purchase supplements or commit to lifestyle changes that you might not be ready for. Like, are you in? Do you feel like this is the time for you to make change? Because if it is, I am here. I'm all in, right? You as the coach, you're always going to be all in by the way you've been trained. But is the client all in to create that effective health pattern change that they need to actually move the needle and see different outcomes in their life? Because hiring you as a coach and paying significant amounts of money is not enough of a change. It is not enough of a step. It's the first step, but that's easy. A lot of people can pay for a coach and have someone kind of in their corner. And sometimes I find that clients even can use this as a distraction. It looks like I'm trying. I have a coach. I'm trying. It's still not working. Are you making the change that is going to actually help move you further to health? Or are you staying stuck in these patterns? And again, enabling these clients to stay stuck is not empowering. Boundaries are empowering. And you are able to say, listen, this is something that I believe you're capable of, and I'm going to hold you to that standard, which is then empowering. Okay, number 6. The clients will mirror your energy and your expectation. If you're soft on follow through, they'll be too. If you hold firm and loving boundaries and call them forward, they're going to rise to that if they're ready. Again, if we go back to a child analogy, if my child is having a hard time completing their homework and I'm always holding their hand to get it completed and driving it to school and making sure that it ends up in their bag, and I am always doing that, and I'm soft on my follow through of, I am not going to do your homework for you. I already did fifth grade. This is your turn. And I keep doing the things for them or holding their hand, making excuses. My lack of follow through, right, will create their lack of follow through. And being soft on my expectations of them isn't going to call them to rise. My loving boundary will call them to rise. This is what's going to work. Are you ready? Right? They'll mirror your energy, they'll mirror your expectations, or they won't, and they weren't the best fit, right? Kids are different. They're always a fit for parent-child relationships. But if we're talking about clients, they'll show up differently when they know they're being watched, supported, and held accountable. And again, the accountability is not hand-holding. The accountability is the belief that they have the ability to rise within the container that you're setting and with the expectations that you're setting. Okay. And number 7 is firmness actually creates freedom. And the paradox is clients will feel freer when they know the rules of the game, because now it's kind of not this, they're not left to their own devices. Boundaries give them a container to express their effort, their growth, and ultimately their transformation. I always say that I love freedom with boundaries. I give my kids the choice to choose within the container of these are the boundaries, right? It's no different than like, do you want a blue cup or a green cup? Like, you have to drink your water out of a cup. I'll let you choose what color cup. You can say to a client, I'm going to let you choose which foundation you want to work on first. Do you want to work on your sleep first, or would you like to work on eliminating the ice cream before bed? You're giving them a bit of freedom to choose, but your firmness of the fact that they're going to have to take some action with the freedom of what they would like to do first is really empowering. So you can say to them, the 2 top things that I need to change here, or that I need to see change for us to know that we're moving in the right direction, is you either need to start sleeping better or you need to start eating better. Which feels like it's more attainable right now? Maybe they say sleep. Okay, great. What we're going to need to do is I'm going to need to have you turn the TV off at 8 p.m. If you can start to read to wind down, or you can start to at least use blue blocking glasses if you have to be on a device later. You give them all the ways that now we're going to tackle sleep. They feel a bit of in control of their process. You've told them that one of these things is really important to change, and there's less mental drama around the progress of it all, right? If there's less of this, I know I have to stop eating late at night, and I have to stop watching TV late at night. And I know I need to, eat breakfast, and I have to exercise, and I have to start eating better. And I probably need to stop relying on some of my medications for mood and actually go inward and acknowledge some of the things that have been troubling me. That is a lot of things to do. And that can create a lot of overwhelm. That can create a lot of paralyzation when it comes to taking action. And I think if you help a client really get focused and clear on what needs to change, and then give them a little bit of freedom as to which direction we're going to go in first, now they feel held, they feel accountable, but they also feel empowered. And there's a big difference, right? Between saying like, oh, these are all the things that need to change. Like, what do you think would be easiest to change first? No. Two choices. They either can change the top biggest one or the second biggest one. And for this client, it just so happened to be nutrition and sleep. Which one would you like to tackle first? Maybe you have an opinion as to which would be easier to tackle first, and you can offer them that. But it's so important for you to be driving the bus. If these clients have been overwhelmed and reaching for the next pharmaceutical solution for a long time, they need someone to believe in their ability to change, and they need someone who is going to hold them accountable to a timeline and actions that will actually affect that change. And like I said, if they're not ready, that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. You simply planted the seed that they are responsible for their health, their wellness, and the outcome of their choices. And that's really powerful. Maybe they say, I'm not ready. And in 6 months, they email you and they're like, I thought a lot about the conversation that we had, and I'm ready now. Like, what could be a more beautiful gift to a client? Truly, nothing. Because if you've given them the power, if you've given them the self-trust and belief because you saw that they were able, again, this was I believe, 60-year-old man. It may have been the first time that anybody ever communicated that to him. And again, that is the gift you're giving these clients. They know they should be eating better. They know that maybe there's supplements out there that will help. Why haven't they done it yet? Okay. So again, boundaries build confidence, not resistance, and holding firm to these is super important. Our key talking points: 1, boundaries aren't harsh, they're supportive, right? 2, confidence grows from their commitment. It grows from their ability to commit. And actually, when they start to commit to something and they do it, now they're even trusting themselves more. Like, my gosh, I never thought that I could regulate my nervous system with anything else but TV. But I did it. Like, I'm reading now, and I'm able to calm my nervous system without numbing myself with social media or the television. Number 3, clarity eliminates confusion. When you get really clear on what your boundaries are and what your expectation is, it eliminates the confusion. Number 4, boundaries communicate professionalism. It allows you to communicate professionally, and that, frankly, you're busy, right? If you have a thriving practice, you don't really have time to handhold with somebody, and you're going to communicate these boundaries, which communicate professionalism to this client. Number 5, boundaries are empowering versus enabling. You are going to empower this client and rather than enabling them. Number 6, clients will mirror your energy and your expectations. If your energy and your expectations are wishy-washy, their follow will be too. If you're soft, they'll be soft. And number 7, firmness creates freedom. If you can allow the client to relax into your boundary and your firmness, now they feel like they have less, noise to work through, and they're able to just focus on progress. Okay, so those are my 7 top tips to really create firm boundaries for a client, which will improve their commitment, will improve their results, and will improve their own self-trust. Also, don't underestimate the power of questions, right? If a client's having a hard time wrapping their head around a lot of this, you can ask questions like, what would it mean for you to do something different? Would you have to become someone different? Would you have to believe something different about yourself, about the world, right? A lot of these self-limiting beliefs, a lot of these self-sabotaging behaviors, they have deep roots of how someone views themselves, views their worth, views the world. And asking questions can be so powerful for these clients. All right, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, let us know. If you want me to expand on any of these points, feel free. This is hard in the beginning. It's hard to hold these boundaries. It's hard to not feel like you want to, be soft and empathize, and you can be empathetic. What you can say is, I feel how hard, I know how hard this is. I know how hard change can be. I'm going to be both empathetic and really committed to my boundaries for you, because that's what you deserve. You deserve a coach that believes in your ability to see and enact change. And I know you're capable of that. So I'm going to hold you to that standard, right? Powerful for kids, powerful for adults who still have maybe some limiting beliefs from their childhood. I hope you found this helpful. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know what topics you want to hear more of, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon.